Redo You, the podcast that teaches you tools and strategies so you can build the confidence to rediscover and reinvent yourself. With me, Emma Hull, your favorite life coach. Each week, I'll introduce a concept that you can implement right away so you can live your most authentic life. Let's get started. For the very first time on the Redo You podcast, I am very excited to have a guest, and it's Dr. Pieter Strauss. And he is the wellness director here at the amazing Sparkling Hill Resort. And Dr. Strauss has had 2 lives so far, one in South Africa and then one here in Canada. He and his wife, Kornai, have been together for over 40 years. He was born in South Africa, and after completing family practice residency in the University of the Free State, he then began as a family physician for 5 years and then decided to get into psychiatry. And immediately after finishing his psychiatry residency, Dr. Strauss moved to Canada and started work actually as a forensic psychiatrist in a maximum security prison hospital. A very different setting than Sparkling Hill Resort. And he also has his own private psychiatry practice in Abbotsford. So he's been working with Sparkling Hill since 2012 and loves being part of this incredible holistic resort where you have the wonderful natural surroundings of the Okanagan, and he loves leading relationship retreats and wellness retreats. He's actually shared with me he's literally just finished leading a week-long retreat. So thank you so much for having the energy. Yes. Welcome to Redo You, Dr. Strauss.
Thank you. I feel very honored to be your first guest.
Right.
And I hope I'm the first of many, and that eventually I can say, well, I'm part of the roster of these famous people that all joined Emma's podcast program.
Amazing.
Yeah.
That's so wonderful.
Yeah.
I love that. Thank you.
But you know, Emma, this comment you've made that I'm just at the tail end of it, this gig, this part of my life at Sparkling Hill is my recharge time. Mm-hmm. I love working in this context, and it gives me the energy and the grit and the resiliency to be with my patients who I have to have on long-term journeys, where I can be here with people that come here relatively well, and then I give them a bit of a leg up to do most excellently. And it's so amazingly validating to see that. So I'm you might not know it, but I'm kind of high at the moment.
Oh, that's so wonderful.
Hopefully you won't see me flag through the interview. Yeah.
So obviously, I mean, Sparkling Hill is an incredible place to spend time. What do you think makes this location, and not just the Okanagan, but the actual whole resort, what makes it so special and so healing?
I think one has to go back to its origins, where Mr. Lang Swarovski, in his private capacity, not as a member of the Swarovski family, had shared the dream with the current CEO, Mr. Hans-Peter Meyer, to bring Europe in its Kurspa capacity to North America. So Hans-Peter had scouted places, and when they came onto this hill here on top between Kalamaka and Okanagan Lake, he just felt this is the right place. And Mr. Lang Swarovski, who wasn't into any of the hospitality or hotel industry at the time, when he heard the vision and mission of Hans-Peter that he wants to bring the kind of curated, regulated, holistic, European-inspired wellness to North America, they were on. So from the beginning, culturally, it was in the right place. It wasn't to make money, it was to help people. And then I think they had a very smart choice to put up an ultra-luxurious hotel in the middle of nature.
I can see how it would be extremely renewing for you to come and work here as well.
Much so,
yeah,
sure.
Definitely. So I'd love to ask you about mindset stuff. And the Redo You podcast, it's really all about helping people to reprogram their minds so they can make those life changes. And you made that shift from forensic psychiatry in a maximum security prison to here. What kind of mindset shifts did you need to make?
I think one of the crucial things to do is to pursue your own happiness and to understand that I'm not bashing the forensic psychiatry job at all. It's an incredibly skillful thing to do and highly volatile, having to move carefully, knowing that you have to embrace the difficult idea of seeing both the patient as an opponent who is perhaps playing a long game against you. And there are people that do that glorify that and exalt in it, and the puzzle of it, and the adventure of it, and the intensity of it is very gratifying to them. I did it, but it changed me. The guy that started working there was this bubbly, naive person that believes everybody's innocent at the bottom of their hearts. And over time, that experience started telling me that that's not true, and I rebelled against that because it is true. And now, without answering the question fully yet, now with the perspective of looking back, I think it's the system that plays an important role in making those people lose contact with the fact that they could be okay, that they could be good, and then the system itself tends to become aligned with the mentality of the clientele that they serve. So you start looking at somebody's interaction with you, and you start with a position of suspicion. What is this person's motive? If they give you a compliment, why are they giving you a compliment? What is this about? And I just didn't have that passion, and I disliked what it was doing to me. And don't forget, I'm not saying that anybody else would land in that, but for me, it started making me anemic in terms of who I am. So I transitioned from there to my community practice, and I love that, but it was something that ultimately started taking my batteries down. I worked very hard at compartmentalizing so that when I'm home, I was home, but over time, being in that position with that awesome responsibility of taking care of your patient, their lives are in your hand, became something that I knew didn't want to let it go because I love it. But if I continue, I'll have to retire at 60. And I've hoped to retire never. I've hoped to continue helping people. And when Sparkling Hill crossed my path, it just clicked. I'm so in love with the work that I do here, Emma. It's just such I really find COVID kind of messed things up, as you know. So a lot of the growth pattern that we were on in our development of these week-long programs took a back seat. And I found the most difficulty I had in COVID that I couldn't be here. Prior to that, I would be here 40 weekends out of the 52. It's building up, so I'm enjoying this. And so it is the place where I feel more energized at the end of my workday than I am when I start. And I think in a long-winded answer, you regret that you asked me the question.
Not at all.
I think that work because it's fun for you to do the job.
And you spoke about how when the opportunity to work with Sparkling Hill came up, it clicked.
Yes.
And so I'd love to chat about alignment and how valuable it is to actually work in an environment that's in alignment with your values and true to you. And what words of advice would you have for viewers of the podcast of following that and following your heart?
This is a question we can talk a week long about, I think, and I'll try and not be long-winded. I think, Emma, one of the basic problems of modern society is that people don't have a core philosophy. So they are a little bit, I think probably because of the incredible amount of information overload, and you have your device, and on a given day there are 100 fantastic memes that cross your path, and I don't have a device, so I don't know if you swipe left or you click but you do something to say I like this, and then it's out of your mind, and nothing contributes to your map of the world. And so really, in a very odd sense then, there may be extraordinary pieces of wisdom that pass. And you like it for the moment, but you don't say, hey, I have to start incorporating this piece into my map of the world. And what is my map of the world? And I think if you don't have that, then you run from one self-help source to the other, and you do one diet after the other, and you create bucket lists frenetically, because if I can fulfill my bucket list, I'll get to that place of happiness. But if you say, hey, why am I here? What is my adventure about? And obviously, each person will have a different answer. And in my case, my place I came to at about age 35 is my place is to love people. My place is to, if I have a stroke tonight, and if there's wood somewhere, let's touch wood, had I left the world better because I was there. Not necessarily having a massive legacy. It'll be great if you have that, but did I make the world a better place? I'll never forget a story, and this story is not about me at all. It's about this woman. I am in Save-On at the end of a long day. It's about 10 o'clock. They're wrapping up. I am having my bag of groceries that is run through the till. The cashier is a middle-aged person from Punjabi origin. I can see she's dead on her feet. She is tired and she's so professional. She puts an authentic smile on her face, but I see her exhaustion because I am trained to read people. And on the spur of the moment, Punjabi colleagues over the years have tried to teach me Punjabi to no great success. But I knew that tikka means okay. And I had this phrase that my one lovely colleague who's an addiction specialist taught me. And on the spur of the moment, I said to her at the end of the thing, Sat Sri Akal. And she said, what? And for a terrible moment, I thought, oh my goodness.
I said it wrong.
Yes. And I said, Sat Sri Akal. And the smile that broke on her face was a thing of beauty.
You just got goosebumps.
Yeah. Because what I would learn to say is, may the light shine on you. And then afterwards, I thought, if I wasn't attentive to her exhaustion, and I don't know what happened after that. Did she now go home and were able to hug her kid? Was she able to go home and not moan and groan because there's toys on the floor? But she went home at the end of the day feeling noticed and beloved. And I won't even recognize her in a lineup again, but she blessed me so much with that smile she gave at the end of her long day. And I also knew that I didn't totally mispronounce that. Your viewers might say, no, you actually didn't mispronounce that. Let's teach you some more essential pronunciation here. But it's that kind of thing that comes from philosophy.
Yeah.
And I think go find out what your philosophy is. And it is not a right or a wrong philosophy. It's not a good or bad one. It's one that resonates. Why am I having this adventure? The work you do is a response to that philosophy that you have without me even knowing what it is. You want to transform the lives of women because you've walked that path and you want to share it with them. That's an astounding place. So I know without knowing what it is, yours is also core and so on. So I think it's a matter of finding that and then adjusting your thoughts to that, adjusting your emotions to that, and adjusting your behavior to that, and also remembering that most of our behavior will be messed up. Sorry about that. Somebody just wanted to come and clean the room because they're efficient here. And so the philosophy drives the conduit of behavior, which then helps you to hold onto your integrity. And if you do make a behavioral mistake, to say, okay, what did I do wrong here? Because it's divergent from my philosophy. Oh, okay, that's what I did. Here's what I'll do. Alignment to why are we here would be my answer to that.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Thank you for sharing. So really, if I'm getting this correct, it's about figuring out, like, why am I here? What's important to me? And then checking in with yourself. Are my thoughts, my actions consistent with what I want?
And women who are still seeking us, having the disadvantage, which is why they work to get us to the place of equal in value, equal in worth, often in their 40s, having seen their kids raised, having been battered by life, often perhaps having lost sight of who they were.
Yes.
If they could just go back and say, okay, all that's come so far will serve to make what's coming ahead excellent, and let me just put sense into what's happened here, and if something has gone wrong, how did it gift me? What did it do? Let me look at the gift that this is about, and let me see how better I am. Not that I want to have that experience over again, but how better I am because I've been through it. What does it say about my resilience?
You touched several times on the inherent goodness of people and of the world. And I'm one of my core philosophies as well is self-love. And I'm always encouraging my listeners and my coaching clients to embody self-love and embrace it. But so many people really struggle to see the good in themselves. They can love other people, but they struggle to love themselves. Can you share a couple of tips to help people embrace that self-love?
I want to first start with a fantastic question. Again, a week-long answer. But that's wonderful because it's profound questions. I want to remind your viewers that, have you ever noticed that any newborn baby would snap at the fingers of the person who delivers them? They don't. They are just stunned about all that's happening to them, and then they connect to their mom, if mom can breastfeed at that moment, and they look in the eyes of their mom, and the mom looks in their eyes. In that moment, empathy and bonding and attachment and oxytocin that's shared happens, and that little guy's amygdala lights up to say, I am beloved and I'm good. Sadly, it goes downhill from there. Sadly, a mom is tired and the baby is crying a lot and she feels incompetent and she's not a good mom. Instead of understanding the baby by crying more, is actually saying, I'm finding my voice, mom, I'm going to work out a tone to say I'm wet, and then I'm going to work out a tone to say I'm hungry, and then I'm going to work out a tone to say pick me up, and then I'm going to work out a tone to say I'm sleepy, put me to bed. Then at that moment, if mom is irritable or short, at 4 months old, the baby learns a lie about themselves. They're smart little guys. They just can't speak. They are like sponges. They take everything in. I remember one time my wife showed me a very funny meme of a dad, sort of a robust guy, biker, lovely guy, and it was so beautiful because what he was doing is he was changing his baby's diaper, and his wife obviously had set it up. She wasn't home. And it was one of those green splattered bombs kind of things that went off. And the guy would try, and then he would sort of turn around and be close to vomiting, and then get across and do it. And it was hilarious. Except the baby who watches his dad sees his dad being revolted
by him.
It's not the intent of that glorious dad who is pushing against the innate vasovagal thing that's happening to him, but what he doesn't understand is there's a lie to that child. So when my kids had babies, I gave everybody the degree. When you clean the baby's bottom, be efficient and smiling and make good eye contact with the baby, no matter what it is that you have to clean up. And it sounds silly, but these are two examples to say we are inundated by a life where we are constantly, people with the best of intentions, teaching us stuff that they don't even know that we get the wrong lesson taught, or that through their vulnerabilities, they make mistakes and the kid sponges it up. And then once we have that mindset, Emma, we use everything that happens to us to confirm that we're not good enough.
Yeah.
And it steals from people's birthright to knowing that they're good. And part of my job, both in the clinical practice and here, is to say, celebrate the spectacular person that you are. There's nobody like you, Emma. Not in the world. Nobody has that smile. Nobody has that amazing kindness in their eyes when they smile at me, having met me 25 minutes ago. Celebrate your extraordinariness and trust yourself that you're good and catch yourself at doing good.
Oh, catch
Catch yourself at doing good. Catch yourself. There are ample times during the day, and when you do not so good, say to yourself, okay, what can I do next time?
Yeah.
And then you learn from that. Catch yourself at doing good. And we start catching ourselves at doing good. Then, as per your question, then the authenticity of treating others as if they're good deepen. Because we're doing it here as well. So the goodness that I see, that you see, that I'm having for you is coming from here.
Yeah.
Be fulfilled. Look after yourself, not from a selfish point of view, or let's say it slightly differently. Be selfish in order to be selfless.
I think it's so important as well. I love what you said about getting that fulfillment from yourself, not from others. And it's really essential to do that reflective work of figuring out what does fill me up.
All the time.
Because otherwise people will tend to go trying to get that, your dad telling you he's proud of you or whatever it is. But if you don't know what fills you up and can't give that to yourself, then no one else is going to be able to do that for you.
Very crucial point you're making, the point of self-awareness and self-reflection. And so I think one of the things one needs to do on a daily basis is to check in with yourself and to say, what's my emotional state? Okay, the average person will say tired or frustrated or perhaps overwhelmed. I don't hope they don't, but they may say that. And the moment that we say that, we say, okay, I'm in need of nourishment. And what is my nourishment? The thing that makes me happy. So go and do something that you're passionate about at that time. Even if it's work, even most especially if it's work, if work gives you passion, then let me get the next couple to come and work with, if that's the case, right? And so it is that self-reflection. It's crucial. If you're not, you don't know that you're running on empty. You don't see the smoke coming out of your figurative exhaust. And then your engine seizes and you think, what happened? No, it's been going into the red for the past 6 months. Right?
Yeah.
The interesting thing that I feel is that a lot of nourishment can be had in a relationship. And that's a different ball of wax altogether, because so many relationships are so complicated and impaired because their self-care isn't happening. But if I'm self-fulfilled, then this brief new relationship I have with Emma makes me happy. Because I can see she gets me. And she pays me this astounding compliment of deeply, attentively listening to what I have, and then feeding me with ideas as well. So be self-aware. Go to your area of passion. Often hobbies and crafts and pastimes and leisurely activities are things to go and get it, but some people thrive even just on being connected with somebody else, not because they have to fill me up, but because me being with them bring me me so much joy. And then do that self-check every day, where I'm at. And on a given day we may be tired, and on a given day we may be overwhelmed. But if I'm still overwhelmed tomorrow with the daily check, and then the day after that, I am burning and I'm not filling myself up enough. That's what I would suggest. In total agreement with your point of self-awareness and self-checking in. And it should be an automatic process.
Yeah.
I do it usually when I drive home from work. I have a very, very long commute, Emma, 8 minutes.
Oof.
Yeah, it's really bad. Yeah. I love it in the morning because when I drive to work, I go to work at about 5:30 in the morning, and then there's nobody in the city, so I love having the streets to myself.
Yeah.
But in the evening, it's a bit more complicated because there are more people on the road, and that's the time that I sit there and say, where are you at? How's things going?
Yeah.
It also helps me then to prepare myself for saying hello to my wife.
Being present at home.
Yeah, because if I'm not so good, I can say to her, hey, can I go and lie on the bed and read a few minutes? And she, of course. Or if I'm folded up enough, I can be with her.
Yeah, yeah. And so I think as well, being brave enough to recognize what you need and then to ask for it.
Yes, because that's self-care too.
Yeah.
And then your partner, if you ask an unreasonable amount, can reflect, wow, you're asking a lot at the moment. And then there's that interplay of negotiating together as well. But if a partner who's been with you for a long time, when you're in your mid-40s, and there's been steady divergence over the time because kids happened and careers happened and that affair happened, then there's a lot of work to do. But convergence almost always is possible. But in your viewer group, not at the cost of yourself. Yeah.
Can I pivot?
Again,
kind of completely.
Course.
So I recently, or in the last couple of years, thanks to listening to Dr. Andrew Huberman's podcast, got into the whole hot-cold therapy thing. And actually this morning was just down in Kelowna. They have the Loyalty, it's a floating sauna. So you're in the sauna and then you cold plunge in the lake, which today was 4.5 degrees.
Oh my goodness.
I find that there's that real power of doing those hot-cold cycles it's about doing those hard things and building your resiliency. Can you speak to hot-cold therapy or doing hard things and resiliency and how people can embrace that?
I'm going to go to the more abstract of the two because then from the general you can go to the specific, which is a nice scientific.
Perfect.
So the hot-cold therapy is emblematic of the abstract point of enduring gives galvanizing and gets purifying and gets to be gifted. And I think the just preceding that topic is, I think what prevents us from going through it or even embracing it is fear. And so, no, I don't want to do this hard thing. I just don't want to do it. But you know, Emma, interestingly enough, we know the expression grasp the nettle. Right? Did you know that when you grasp the nettle, it actually doesn't sting you?
Right.
It's when you touch it gently that it stings like the dickens, but if you give that pressure, that little plant doesn't. So though it is not necessarily a metaphor for everything, but often when you go through a thing with the philosophy of, I'm going to hold my head up high, I'm going to make sure that my nose is above the water, and I'm going to ensure that I don't knock my head against a rock wall here. You come out on the other side and you're exhilarated because you've achieved a fearful thing, and in the larger abstract, you have endured a very rough inquiry into your behavior at the office, and you knew from the start that you have nothing to worry about, but you just looked at them and you made sure that your authenticity shined through, and you spoke the truth, and you come out with a recommendation instead of a dressing down. Then you say, look at who I am, look at what I achieved. And or if you go through something which does hurt, again, back to our earlier topic, find out what the gift is there.
Yeah.
Nothing in this world that is hard doesn't have a gift in it. It's a central truth. Nothing that is hard doesn't have a gift in it. And if I don't know what the gift is yet, let me keep on looking what the gift may be. In the end, it'll come out. And the hot gold thing, back to the specifics of it, is about circulation. So what you do is you really, when you are in extreme cold, here at our place it's 110 degrees Celsius, they let you stay in 3 minutes, but you can really stay 5 if you need to, but don't take that from me, it's 3 minutes. And you're scared about this whole thing. So the moment that you are in there, they keep you very busy. They let you walk around, you sing happy songs, karaoke style from the speaker overhead. And what physiologically happens, all the blood, the body thinks it's dying. So all the blood leaves the skin, half the blood of your brain leaves, all the non-vital organs gets drained of blood, and everything gets pushed into the core. And there's a very rich blood flow through your core that you almost never can get anywhere else. And then at the end, when you are, though you don't go to warm, as in this example, you go to relative warm from minus 110 to 20 degrees, then the process reverses itself. And so you get blood flow through areas that usually would not be well suffused, and a lot of detoxification happens. And psychologically, you say, "I didn't die."
Yeah.
And it was fun when I do the cold sauna. I feel elated for 6 hours afterwards, and it's not a cognitive elation. I just feel like, man, I can tackle the world. And I think it's that whole going one way fast and going another way fast without compromising the cardiovascular structure much. Obviously, there's restrictions. That practical thing you can do if you've got hypertension and so forth.
Yeah.
And the heart is exactly the same thing. So you move then to the body sending as much as it can to the skin to try and get rid of this heat. So it's a beautiful to and fro process. It's fantastic for arthritis and for autoimmune diseases.
Can we talk about asking for help and what a gift that can be, and some words of encouragement for my viewers who I know struggle to ask for help?
And I think they came by that through honest experience,
100%.
of course. So it's important that they don't feel bad that they struggle, but asking for help is showing emotional vulnerability. So when you struggle to ask for help, Emma, ask yourself, am I proud? Do I care what people think of me? Will they think less of me when I ask for help? And perhaps the answer is yes. Then you say to yourself, but would I think what I suspect they'll think of me if my friend comes to help me? We mustn't forget the joy of helping. So if you ask me to help you, and I can, it's a great thing for me.
Yeah.
Right? So you're actually doing me a favor asking me for help.
Yes.
And if I can't, then you would be reassured yourself that they should say it. They should say, I can't at the moment. But then that's their issue. And you can say, well, can I ask you in the future to help again? Yeah, I'm just extremely busy now. And then often that person will come back and help you anyway, even though they said that they were not. So the vulnerability of asking for help is flawed.
Yeah.
It's a flawed thinking process. What will people think of me, or what will I think of me? I have to ask help. There's a North American, both of us are latecomers to our lovely national identity, and thank you, Canada, for adopting me, by the way.
Yes, thank you.
I really appreciate that so much. But there is this North American philosophy, I'm not a quitter. So if you're crossing a river and the ice starts creaking under you and it's getting to gray, you can see some fresh water, you'll just carry on walking? I'll quit as fast as I can. Sometimes quitting is life-saving. Sometimes quitting brings you back from the point of not being able to endure. There's no shame in that. If you constantly quit, then you say, hey, why have I got this pattern to constantly quit? If you are never willing to ask for help, there's something not okay. Because we are not an island, as Milton famously said about 600 years ago. We are a peninsula. We're connected by our common humanity. And if I ask you for help, I become endeared in your view. Because had you had me on a pedestal, I don't need to be on the pedestal, I'm just like you. And I also then encourage you by example when you need to ask to do that. And that's how we build community. Your viewer group can build such community. And you guys, I say you guys because I don't have a cell phone and I don't do any of the podcast and Instagram things. But you've created a community where you could have like-minded people who don't mind asking for help and who loves helping. It's a glorious network that can be achieved. Asking for help is one of the hardest things to do and one of the smartest things to do. Recognizing when you need that help.
Beautiful, thank you. Now, I feel like you and I could chat forever, so I am going to ask one last question. As you know, the Redo You podcast is all about helping women in their 40s at a crossroads to move forward with confidence. If you could gift the viewers one golden nugget of advice, what would it be?
That's a really good one, because I want to give one that's universally true. Embrace yourself for the unique person that you are. We have 8 billion people and counting, and there's nobody like you on the face of this planet. There's nobody like you. And because there's nobody like you, you don't have to compare yourself with anybody else. The only comparison that scientifically can be made, Emma, is apples to apples, and lemons to lemons, and oranges to oranges. And this guy is a Granny Smith apple, and that guy is a shriveled little lemon on a dry tree. None of us are the same, and because none of us are the same, we cannot actually compare. We are of equal worth, not worth more than anybody else, but certainly never worth less than anybody else. And what is not to celebrate about the unique Emma that sits across the chair from me? But it's a process that you have to philosophically, back to that philosophy, switch. I am extraordinary and I'm connected to the people around me. That radical love and self-acceptance is the hardest thing to do. But when you look in your mirror, don't look at what appears to be thin eyebrows. Don't look at what appear to be bags under your eyes. Don't look at the wattling that you see on the. Look at the person that's looking back at you and think, if this was my daughter, what would I feel for her? And what we'd feel is just extraordinary, unconditional oceans of love. So come on, just let's put that inside ourselves. If we're in that position of self-love, not arrogance, it's the opposite of arrogance, then we have the capacity to authentically love others. And they pick it up. They pick up the authenticity between me and you is not simulatable. It's not, you can't simulate us. And so you and I leave this interview richer.
Yeah.
Because we have that self-acceptance.
So if people are interested in working with you, coming and doing a retreat, how do people get in touch?
Easiest at the moment is to just contact me through Sparkling Hills website. There is a email address there that'll put you in touch with Carly, and then she'll direct it.
So yeah, if you are interested, head to sparklinghill.com and you can find out all the information there. Thank you so much. This has been wonderful.
Welcome. I'm really happy. I'm feeling, I don't need to go to bed now. I'll go to bed at 9 o'clock tonight.
Perfect.
Thanks, Emma.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Redo You podcast. Remember to subscribe, rate and review, and tell a friend, because together we rise even higher. See you next Friday.